Hello everyone and welcome to this Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer showcase. In this 1v1 match, I'm going to be playing the Lizardmen led by Jabba the Hutt. And guys, we're going to be facing off against Indie Pride and Milk and Cookies Total War, and it looks like he is indeed using Benedict Cumberbatch. So it should be a good time for all. So guys, let's jump right into this game and take a look at the army compositions. So on the flanks of my front line, I do have two groups of the Skink cohorts here, and then two on the far side. So the Elves are a faction that do have very good missiles. You can see here they do have the Lothern Sea Guard, which are a pretty powerful missile, and they actually do have anti-large melee attacks, which is pretty cool. But on top of that, he has some regular archers, as well as that Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower. So a lot of missile units that are going to be pressuring my big dinosaurs. And, from the High Elf perspective, I definitely think it's necessary, because the the Lizardmen are going to bring, Bastillodons and Carnosaurs, and do have a lot of monstrous units that you definitely need to pepper down. But as such, in order to beat the High Elves, I definitely think you need to bring units like this. So Skinks, not only do they have bronze shields, so they're going to be pretty durable against missile fire, but they also have 46 movement speed, which is incredibly fast. So they're going to be pretty effective at getting up and around the flanks and pressuring those missiles. And if you compare their speed to the High Elf units, so in the front line, the Sea Guard have 36, the Spearmen here have 33, and it looks like the White Lines do indeed have 36. So these guys, like Forsaken, are going to be able to outmaneuver pretty much the entire infantry corps of these High Elves if played effectively. Aside from that, in the front line, I do have the Saurus Warriors, so these guys in conjunction with the Temple Guard are going to kind of be my backbone. I hesitate to call Saurus Warriors rank and file because they're very strong. 60 armor, not bad. They also do have 86 leadership, which is very high. Granted, take note, guys, there are two chevrons put into these guys, so their stats aren't necessarily accurate, but their leadership's probably like 83, 84. They have 29 melee attack, 37 melee defense, and they also have 52 weapon strength, which is massive. Granted, they don't have the best armor-piercing values, but they do have some armor-piercing damage, 18 it looks like, which, is nothing to sneeze at. But to really get my AP in the front line, I do have the Temple Guard, and these guys are pretty much the creme de la creme as it pertains to Lizardmen infantry. They have an anti-large bonus of, I think it's like in the 20s, it's actually 16, which is very good. And they have armor-piercing, so they're going to trade pretty effectively with the front line of the High Elves, and it looks like the High Elves do have the White Lines of Thrace, who are a very heavily kind of armored tanky unit. Well, 80 armor, I guess, is, quite a bit. But they also have good melee defense and some other good stats, so you're definitely going to need some more, durable, tanky troops to take those bad boys out. So that's pretty much it for my whole front line, just the Skink cohorts on the flanks to pressure his missile units. The Temple Guards in conjunction with the Saurus Warriors are going to form kind of my main formation here. So for my lord, I do have the mighty Mazdamundi himself, or as we've coined him, Jabba the Hutt. He kind of reminds me of that South Park character. You guys remember the World of Warcraft episode of South Park where the gamer guy literally sits on a toilet while he plays? This guy kind of reminds me of that. But regardless, he does do magic damage, which is kind of cool. So if you're fighting the vampire counts, he can slap those ethereal units around. But where he really shines is his magic. So he has the Ruination of Cities. So this is kind of an AoE ability. Basically, you place it in a target area, and it randomly shoots some big cones of, not cones, but it's like a line of fire, which does massive damage. So this can be a really game-changing ability. And he does have 2 charges of it. So it's not something that requires your winds of magic. He can simply just cast it. On top of that, he does have the Shield of the Old Ones, which gives 44% magic resist, as well as 8 leadership. So it drops this big aura down, which kind of affects all units in a 150 meter radius, gives some massive magic resistance, as well as leadership. And this is going to be really good against the Wood Elves, because Wood Elves do have those Starfire Shafts and other tools like that. So I'm really excited to see how people use the Shield of the Old Ones. On top of that, he does have some high magic, so he has Arcane Unforging, which does massive single target DPS damage, Apotheosis, which is a healing ability. Let's see what else he's got. Curse of the Midnight Wind, Harmonic Convergence, and Nets of Amnatok, which is, as you guys know from Total War Warhammer 1, is probably one of the most competitive abilities in the game. So if you're in an engagement, you're trying to catch an enemy cav unit and get that good charge, you can net them down with Mazdamundi or Jabba and, ride them down with Cold Riders, which is pretty powerful. So for my lieutenant, I do have this Saurus Scar Veteran. I have him on a cold one, I think. Yeah, the cold one is what it's called. And he has self-healing, which is good. He has anti-large and armor-piercing, so he's very good for dueling enemy lords. So I'm going to be trying to hunt down Teclis and, maybe look for some of his cav and try and get this guy hunting him down. So that's pretty much it for my army, guys. I do have the Cold One Spear Riders, which are anti-large armor-piercing, very similar to the Dark Elf variant, and they can enrage. And in the back, I do have the Bastillodon. So this is the solar engine, so I wanted to try this bad boy out. It has, heavy weapon damage of 400. Its armor-piercing values aren't super high, but it's still going to be pretty good against the High Elves over there. Maybe shoot down their dragon or go after some of their lords or casters. And, at the end of the day, guys, even if this thing does run out of ammunition, it's still a Bastillodon, and it can get in there and definitely stomp the art a little bit. So that's pretty much it from our army, guys. Let's go ahead and take a look at the army of Indie Pride. So Indie Pride did bring a Star Dragon, which is a very, very powerful dragon. It has 550 weapon strength, which I think might be the highest in the game for dragons. Great combat stats, but it also has this breath ability. So if we look right here, you guys can see, let me get that for you, the Star Dragon's breath. So very like the noxious breath of the Dark Elf Dragon, this thing can wreck some shop, that's for sure. In the front line, he does have the Lothern Sea Guard. So these guys are kind of elite missile units. They have 165 range, pretty good missile damage, but they're kind of a hybrid unit. They have 42 missile defense as well as 28 weapon strength and melee. So I can foresee these guys, like in a lot of matchups, you're like, oh, I got into their back line, I'm going to get on their missiles with Cav. Well, these missile units have anti-large, so if enemy Cav get onto these guys, they're going to actually be able to fight them off very effectively. So I think these guys are a pretty cool unit, and the Lizardmen do have a lot of large units that are going to be pressuring you. So not a bad choice from Indie Pride over here. He does also have the Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower here for the anti-large missile attacks. He has the White Lines of Thrace, which are kind of an armor-piercing frontliner, and they'll do well against the Saurus Warriors, and they'll do pretty well against the Temple Guard as well with that AP damage. So, like that choice. In the back, he has some regular archers, more white lines, kind of defending his flank. He also does have some spears back here, and for his lord, he does have Teclis. So Teclis is kind of like very similar to Mazdamundi. He's a caster lord, you know, not the best in melee. You can see his armor is very pitiful. His weapon strength is pretty bad as well. So if I get any melee on this guy, he's going to be in some trouble. But he has a ton of cool spells. So he has the Cane Ring of Fury, which does magic damage. Versus like kind of a crowd. And let's see what else. So the Potion of Charoi. So it heals him and lowers his recharge rate, but it also gives a ward save of 44%. So it definitely makes Teclis a little bit tougher to kill. He has Regrowth, he has Healing, he has Flock of Doom, Chain Lightning. He also has Nets of Amnitok and the Glamour of Hoth, which gives leadership and charge defense. Dang, 200%. That's pretty massive. Cool, so that's pretty much it, guys. And without further ado, let the games begin. So right now I'm coming around with my skinks, and like I mentioned before, I'm going to be using these guys to pressure his flank. On that same note, Indie Pride is getting some very good fire with his Lothern Sea Guard right here and is shooting into my Temple Guards, who are going to take some okay damage, but they're meant for this. They have shields, they're very durable, they have good armor, and these guys don't have the highest AP value, so you know my front line is going to be very resilient against missile fire. On that same note, Indie Pride is creeping around with the Star Dragon. You can see he's probably going to come after Mazdamundi. Mazdamundi's very squishy. And you can see Mazdamundi is taking some fire from that Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower, so I definitely have to be careful of that. So the Dragon's coming around, and I'm basically just using my Cold Ones to follow him. And in the meantime, my Skinks are positioning on the flanks, as you guys can see, and they're going to be getting pretty down and dirty. And he does have a pretty exposed back line, so hopefully I can do some work there. So right now, Mazdamundi is going to be casting a spell back here. I did use the Ruination of Cities, which didn't really make great contact. He did some okay damage against the Lothern Sea Guard, but Indie Pride gets a great blast there. So he netted me down here, and then he used the high magic ability, the Phoenix ability of Teclis, and did some huge damage and Chain Lightning. So massive burst coming down in the middle, so super well played by Indie Pride. Regardless, my Bastillodon is targeting Teclis, and the front line has engaged. So the Saurus Warriors here are definitely going to crush these Spearmen. They have very high DPS. Though the Spearmen have good melee defense, these Lizardmen troops are definitely superior combatants in melee. So on the far side, my Skinks are coming around, so he's going to use the white lines to intercept these ones, but these ones are going to get into the chicken coop, and I'm just kind of force pathing them all around. On the far side, you can see my Skink cohorts have also gotten in, and my Saurus Warriors, they're out of control in Berserk right now, but they're still going to fight. And you can see my Bastillodon back there is getting some good work in. So Mazdamundi has taken a ton of damage. I did use Cold-Blooded, which is going to, give him some self-healing, but he is low, kind of vulnerable right now. He has that low melee defense, so I'd really make sure to keep the Saurus Warriors nearby. And I actually used a net of Amnitok on a Star Dragon to make sure Mazdamundi could heal up safely. You can see the Bastillodon tagging some of those Spearmen in the back, which is so cool. But regardless, the Skinks have gotten into the back, so like I, kind of initially planned, he pulled back all his Lothern Sea Guard, who aren't pushovers in melee, but these Skink cohorts are just going to occupy them all day. So this entire missile pocket is pretty much offline, but unfortunately for me, that Star Dragon is kind of back in business. So he's going to be chasing me down with that, and it's going to be pretty rough. So I pulled the Saurus Scar Veteran over here, just wanted to make sure Mazdamundi had his kind of bodyguards. And you can see the Star Dragon using his breath attacks and just roasting these Temple Guards. Granted, the Temple Guards are trading very evenly with the white lines here, and I've kind of put my Bastillodon back here to shoot this Star Dragon. Granted, it's not doing the best work. So Indie Pride is still getting some pretty good missile fire, even though his backline is compromised a little bit. You can see these Skinks in here fighting these guys, but I decided to just kind of charge in with everything I had. So the Cold Ones are going to come in here, and they're definitely going to do some, good shock damage. And though they are meant for anti-large, they still do have 40 weapon strength and a charge bonus of 40. So they're going to get in here and definitely rough up these archers. So I send both groups back there, and I also have Mazdamundi kind of follow them in to make sure he has his protection. And I have popped Apotheosis on himself to give him some healing. So Teclis is kind of lurking here, and I decided to kind of send the Saurus Scar Veteran to go after him, or at least I do in a minute, but he'll be there sooner or later. So the Saurus Warriors are kind of out of control, so a lot of my troops have taken a lot of damage. You can see my Skinks here have routed, but they'll be coming back. I'm kind of foreseeing a little bit of an engagement here. I do pop the shield of the old ones, giving him magic resist and leadership, but still that Star Dragon is going to be doing a ton of damage to Mazdamundi. He is not meant for, hand-to-hand, unless you put him on a Stegonon. So Mazdamundi's kind of waddling on his toilet seat through the battle line, trying to get back to these Cold Ones who are engaging on the Star Dragon and doing some pretty good anti-large DPS. You can also see these Spearmen here kind of struggling a little bit against these Saurus Warriors, and you can see that Bastillodon still applying pressure. And I do overcast a net of Amnitok here to make sure that his Star Dragon can't keep chasing me. So right now my skink cohorts are just coming back in, and that's something that, like I said, they're very good. Even if they do route off, they're going to be, quick enough to get re-engaged here, and they're still just kind of fighting these Lothern Sea Guard. But something I wasn't expecting, when I was in the game, I didn't know how strong these Sea Guard were in melee, but these guys are very, very tanky. Granted, the anti-large isn't really pertinent in this matchup. They still have very high melee defense, some decent armor, and they're probably going to honestly be able to beat these skinks in, head-to-head combat, especially with that crossfire coming in. But the entire time they're engaged here with these skinks, I'm not taking missile fire on some of my high-value targets. So my cold ones are still maneuvering around the battlefield. They're going to probably be re-engaging on the Star Dragon here. And you can see Mazdamundi, I think he's going to be casting the Ruination of Cities here in a moment. He's kind of just perching over there on his little chair. And the Bastiladon wasn't really being as effective as I liked in ranged attack, so I decided to send it in here and see how it would go. But there's the Ruination of Cities. Look at the damage it did. It just ravaged those Lothern Sea Guard, and then I do have some Saurus Warriors coming in here. We're going to get a pretty good charge in the back, and you can see, a few of them are doing the jump and somersaults, but they're going to be able to tear these guys to pieces. Because the Lothern Sea Guard, like I mentioned, are pretty durable, but against Saurus Warriors, who are kind of like a very designated frontline troop, they're not really going to be able to shine very well. So it looks like Indy Pride did use the Phoenix ability and did some really good damage. So he actually routed my Saurus Warriors here, did some pretty good DPS to my cold one. So it looks like some of them are either out of control or are routing, and Indy Pride still does have this cursed Star Dragon. So he actually used Teclis to cast Regrowth, so he's getting that nice healing. So I do pop the shield to the old ones to kind of give me some magic resist in case he had any burst damage he was going to cast on me. And I think that flame attack does count as magic, although it still roasted Mazdamundi pretty hard. Mazdamundi's at 170 HP, and it looks like his doom is rapidly approaching as that Star Dragon's coming in. And even though I do have the bodyguards protecting him, I don't think it's going to stop this guy. He's so angry. But the Star Dragon, I think, has the highest stats as far as dragons go, but Mazdamundi's still waddling about 170 HP, but Indy Pride is undoubtedly going to land. I do cast Apotheosis, which is kind of rapidly healing him. You can see he's gone up about 300 HP, so it'll perhaps buy him another second or two in combat. So as far as the kind of overarching look of things, the balance of power is pretty even still. 639 for myself, 440 for Indy Pride, and I do have a lot of troops rallying, as does he. He has some Sea Guard back here, some of these white lines, but unfortunately Mazdamundi is he's just asking for it. So the Dragon's coming in the back. He hasn't gotten an attack on Mazdamundi yet, but it looks like, 674, and it looks like the Saurus Cold Ones and the other troops are able to screen that Dragon for a little bit longer. So I figured he was going to go down, so it's time for the final Haggard duel between Benedict Cumberbatch and Mazdamundi. So these two are going to fight here in the pits. I also do have the Bastiladon, who actually just whacked his buddy with the tail. But yeah, he's not going to be long for this Earth. I think Teclis actually even hit him there, but he's still steady despite all that. So definitely a true testament to his leadership, and you can see Teclis is in some really bad shape. So Teclis himself is being hunted by the Saurus Scar Veteran as well as his Bastiladon, and you can see the little skinks up here. Look at them. They're actually throwing spears, and they're bouncing off Teclis. Oh, that's so classic. Mazdamundi, I decided to kind of try and waddle him into the forest, but the Dragon is definitely going to have his way here. So Mazdamundi down to 400 HP. This Dragon does have a 58 melee attack. So against the, I guess Mazdamundi's melee defense isn't bad, but he just gets dumpstered by that Dragon. Oh, he just got put down, and that's actually cool. His death animation, he kind of just disappeared there, but you can see in the forest, Teclis is unfortunately for Indy Pride going to suffer a pretty similar fate. You can see the Bastiladon just kind of stomping all over him, and that Saurus Scar Veteran is probably going to be able to kill him here. So yeah, how much 1 HP? Yeah, it looks like he just gets trampled by the Velociraptor. So balance of power did start to shift in my favor a little bit, because I still do have some pretty powerful monstrous units. I have the Scar Veteran as well as the Bastiladon here, and he just has the Star Dragon, and my core of troops is still in pretty good shape. My archers, my cold ones here are doing some pretty good work chasing the archers down. I have these Saurus Warriors here. A lot of rampaging troops, however. So you can see these ones here are just going to rampage and chase down whatever Indy Pride has left on the far side. But this Dragon, man, it is... I had the anti-large tools, but this Dragon just came in here and was just doing some serious work. And he's able to fear and terror out a lot of my units, and it's actually kind of cool. The Saurus Spear Riders do cause fear and terror, but I do get that surround here. It does have 80 armor, so the armor piercing is pertinent here, and you can see it's taking a few hundred HP damage. But unfortunately, I don't have my Lord anymore. Bastiladon's still going to be firing. And with that, what does it actually do? Okay, so it has the the kind of Luminarch type effect, but let's read the effect while we're here. So blinded. So it lowers the melee attack to accuracy and the melee defense. So that's actually not bad. That's going to be pretty good. And you can see the Dragon stats have been kind of mitigated here. They were lowered to the 30s for just a moment, but unfortunately my cold ones are getting routed off here, and another Bastiladon shot coming in and just a swing and a miss. I do have this Saurus Scar Veteran who's going to push in here and try and pressure the Star Dragon, but let's see what else is going on. Yeah, so the Temple Guards over here, they're not rampaging thankfully, but these ones are rampaging. These guys are not rampaging, but it's because their leadership's okay, but it will just take 1 or 2 more attacks to make those guys rampage. So pretty much all that Indy Pride has left is this Star Dragon. You can see I do have this Saurus Scar Veteran. Bit of a tongue twister. Try saying that one fast. But he's going to be engaging on the Star Dragon, and he has pretty much all of the tools you need. Plus, he also has self-healing, so even if he takes some damage, I can probably pull him out and regenerate. You can see the Star Dragon still taking some fire here, but Indy Pride does have some rallying troops from the forest, so it looks like they get blasted by the Bastillodon, and they're probably not going to be coming back here. So let's go ahead and fast forward a little bit in this fight as some of my troops rally here, and it's just a very, very bloody fight versus the Star Dragon, who is indeed shaken, and the Scar Veteran is doing some pretty good work. Down to about 3,000 HP, but this dragon is definitely a beast, and you can see that direct hit from the from my lord, not my lord over there, but the not the Mortis engine, the just the blasting lizard thing was able to shoot him down. But let's actually take a look so I can get that name correct. But from the Bastillodon with the solar engine, yes, just the laser lizard. We'll just call it that for now. But yeah, I think the army composition worked really well. The Saurus warriors, that many kills is a lot against the High Elves. And also the Temple Guard were able to hold. The Cold Ones were able to do a decent job at kind of fending off the Star Dragon and protecting my Lord. And, you know, the Bastillodon with the Solar Engine, I don't know, that might be the one thing that if I was, you know, really playing again, I might consider not bringing and just going, you know, getting more troop density, maybe getting some slingers or skirmishers or something else like that. But really the true MVPs of this matchup were the Skink cohorts. These guys got up and around and they shut down that missile line for like a good half of the battle. So I definitely think that was pretty important. Indy Pride also did an outstanding job of taking out Mazdamundi. He was able to hunt him, and even though his backline was very heavily compromised, he had really good micro with his archers and was able to stay calm in the pocket and just keep shooting at Mazdamundi. So that was pretty aggressive for sure. And that Star Dragon, what a menace! That thing was the thing was pretty fierce. But very well played, Indy Pride. Look forward to our next matches, and hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that Lizardmen showdown. We'll definitely be getting some High Elves, where I think that'll be the only one I haven't played yet. Yeah, I got to get some High Elf gameplay in. But thanks again for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I got a lot more content coming soon.